If you're thinking about moving to France, it's exciting, but also overwhelming. What do you actually do first?
Yeah, how long does it take? How much is this all going to cost? And am I going to get double taxed when I arrive?
Today, we are giving you a big picture roadmap for moving from the US to France, beginning to end, so you know exactly what you are getting yourself into.
And how fast you could realistically make it all happen.
Hi, I'm Raina.
I'm Jason. We're Baguette Bound.
We're an American family of 3 living in the southwest countryside of France since 2022. On this channel, we talk about moving, adjusting, and enjoying life in France. A visa is government approval to enter a country you're not a citizen of for a specific purpose and time period. Your rights in France depend on the visa type.
Yes, they do. A student visa, for example, lets you study and work part-time, but you cannot run a business. An entrepreneur visa allows you to run your own business, but you could not be an employee of another French business.
So your first step in moving to France is figuring out which visa fits the life you want to build here and whether you qualify for it. You can do this through a few different avenues. The French government's Visa Wizard website, free and quick. Or you can consult an immigration attorney that can give you a lot of information about all your possible avenues, options, and their long-term implications. And we have a quiz in our Could I Really Move to France course, which suggests possible visas based on your answers and then links you to official requirements.
That course is linked down below in the description. There are 2 parts to this. First, you complete the application and submit it online. Then you're going to take your visa application and all of your supporting documents and submit them in person at your appointment.
2 parts.
2 parts. So after submitting electronically, you can print out your application, which will come with a document checklist. Then you'll book an appointment through TLS Contact, which is the company that manages all the in-person appointments. They have 10 offices across the United States.
At that appointment at TLS Contact, they're going to collect your application, your documents, your actual passport.
Don't go to Fiji the next day. You're not going to make it.
Right. And then they're going to send everything on to the French Embassy in Washington, D.C. Processing at the embassy typically takes around 10 days to 4 weeks, depending on the season, before they pack all that back into a FedEx envelope and return it to you with approved or denied.
Yeah. And the visa fees, the TLS appointment fees, and the required visa validation in France after you arrive comes to around $550 for most visa types. Okay, this is going to vary wildly for every individual.
Right.
You could move to France with just a carry-on, pay your visa fees, get yourself the cheapest airline tickets you've ever seen.
Or you could ship a full container of furniture, hire a lawyer to manage everything, fly first class, stay in a luxury hotel while a relocation agency finds your long-term housing for you.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. So both viable routes, incredibly different costs.
Yeah.
The 3 biggest variables that you want to be aware of when you're planning out the cost of moving to France are whether or not you ship your belongings, how much professional help you hire, and your initial housing.
So shipping costs can range from about $2,000 for a small pallet that you packed yourself to well over $16,000 for shipping a full container of goods.
Visa help can range from a few $100s for maybe like a document review to several thousand for full service help putting together the more complicated visas that might allow you to work or start a business in France.
And housing costs will probably vary the most. You'll likely need to find short-term rentals for the first few months while you take your time to find a long-term home or buy a property. Why is this?
So houses or apartments with long-term leases in France are mostly individually owned. So these landlords will often want to meet you before they rent to you. That means it's really hard to set up these kind of rentals way in advance before you're actually on the ground. Plus, as a foreigner, we don't have French tax returns, French job contracts, or French guarantor, usually. Maybe you do, lucky you. So it can take a long time or longer to find a landlord that's willing to rent to you.
Yeah, so plan on having higher initial housing costs, at least at the very beginning of your journey, as you search for a longer-term place to settle in.
NC's 2023 data shows that the median annual income in France is around 25,000 euros for a single adult and 46,000 euros per year for a couple with 1 child.
So if your annual budget is somewhere in that range, know that you would not be alone here in France.
Remember, the first year is going to be a little more expensive than probably the ones that come after, because you're figuring everything out. You're rebuilding parts of your life. You probably got to buy more new things like mops and brooms and toilet brushes.
Yeah, it all costs something.
Yeah. But once you've settled in, you've learned your area, you start shopping like a local, your budget will become more efficient.
And cost of living depends very heavily on the lifestyle and the location that you choose. Maybe rural Southwest France with a garden and just having drinks at your local bar sounds great. That might be very affordable. If you want to be in central Paris with regular opera tickets and go into the restaurants every couple of days, that sounds amazing too, but it's definitely going to be pricier.
Yeah. In the course, we included 2 different detailed sample budgets to dig into this a little more, one for the city and one for a more rural countryside lifestyle.
For a simple long-stay visitor visa, if your documents, your health insurance, and your accommodations are all ready to go, you could theoretically get your visa and be on a plane in under a month.
It's kind of amazing, right?
You could do it though.
Yeah.
But maybe a student or entrepreneur visa might take longer. There's just more documents, more prep work to take care of before you apply for the visa, and then there'll likely be a longer review period by the embassy. So give yourself at least 6 months to start and complete the prep work for these type of visas.
What usually takes the longest, though, isn't actually getting the visa. It's usually wrapping up life in the U.S. Selling a house, sorting belongings, dealing with pets, finishing commitments. So this part is very individual, and only you really know how long this might take for you. Okay, now, one of the most asked about questions with the most nuance and least straightforward answers.
Taxes.
So we're not tax experts, but here's a really simple version.
Okay. The U.S.-France tax treaty means that most U.S.-based income is taxed only in the U.S. and French-based income is taxed only in France. You will be required to file income taxes in both countries, but likely receive credits that you don't pay twice on most ordinary types of income.
Including your Social Security.
Yeah, that's a good example. There are some exceptions to this general rule. Plus, there is a wealth tax on real estate, there's a French inheritance tax, which works a little differently, and there are very different rules for trusts here in France.
We cover each of these in a little more detail in the course. So, this one's a big topic for Americans, and so we have made several deep dive videos you'll find on our practical stuff playlist, so we're not going to go too deep here, but...
You know, whether you're on private insurance, the French public insurance system, or you're just paying cash for everything, healthcare in France is both accessible and excellent quality. Doctor visits will usually cost 25 euros to 100 euros without insurance, and medication prices are standardized nationally and published and easy to find.
Some rural areas will have fewer physicians, so if specialist access is really important to you, you're probably going to want to choose to be in or close to a larger town or city. That said, in our experience, even living in a bit more of a rural part of France, getting doctor's appointments hasn't really felt much different to us than in the US. Now we are coming to the #1 mistake people make in the beginning of planning their move to France. They fall in love.
With a house. Yeah.
So the dream starts when you find that unbelievable house online and it's like 60,000 euros.
It's amazing. There's shutters, there's exposed beams, there's thick stone
so
walls.
Romantic.
It's charming, it's romantic, it's amazing, it's historical. There's just nothing quite like this that you'll ever find in the US.
I mean, we're joking a little here, but we do get it because we bought the same thing. But the thing to remember here is just like there's a reason when houses are cheap in the US, there's a reason when they're cheap in France too. And planning your entire life around a village you have never heard of or visited can backfire.
Yeah, moving to France is already going to be a huge adjustment. Committing to a house immediately can really limit your flexibility in those initial months.
Rural homes needing renovation can take years to resell if you end up changing your mind.
Buying does feel more secure maybe, and it does
does.
simplify some of those initial administrative tasks for you.
Permanent address, done.
Done, right away, yeah. But don't let the house dictate the life that you're gonna leave here in France. You know, choose the life you want in France first, and then you can find the home that fits into that plan.
This is gonna depend on your personality, experience, and resources.
None of this is impossible to do by yourself. It's just gonna be new. It's going to be very detail-oriented, and it's going to be full of conflicting online advice. Trust me, we see it all. If you want to DIY it, great. But make sure you budget plenty of time for research, you pay attention to all the details, and be ready to go to the actual French websites as the official source of information instead of just relying on some guy on Facebook. Or YouTube, I guess.
Or YouTube.
Yeah. But this is all really totally doable for you, and that's why we make all these videos to help you get through this.
Yeah. Now, if you have really limited personal time, you're more of a big picture person, as they say, or you just want to have a few less things to think about and have the financial resources, hiring help could be the way to go. Just try to interview multiple companies, and if you can, get referrals from people who have already completed the entire process with one of those companies. So pick a visa and apply. A quick but reasonable timeline to move is about 6 months. You're going to want to budget around $3,000 to $5,000 for basic moving costs, which does not include shipping belongings. $30,000 to $50,000 a year is a reasonable budget for cost of living in France, depending on your lifestyle and location.
There are no double taxes on normal types of income. Healthcare is both accessible and affordable. Okay, so if you're thinking right now, okay, I'm in, I'm doing this, what do you do next? So the first thing you're going to do, start by deciding when you want to move. Set a date.
Yeah.
Then you can kind of create your own personal timeline and a checklist.
Right. And that date could be 6 months from now. It could be 5 years.
Yeah.
But you're going to start with a big piece of paper and today's date on one end and your move date on the other. And then you're going to start to fill in tasks in between.
You know, as an example, here are the versions of those documents that we provide to our visa clients to help them with their planning. If you'd like to use these instead of relying on your own art skills, these are now included as a bonus in our Could I Really Move to France course that's linked down below.
Wherever you are on your own personal Move to France timeline, we are wishing you lots of good luck and a little humor along the way.
It's gonna help. Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
A bientôt.